Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell connected to the Phillies because in an interview, Morosi and Faizan were talking on MLB about, just the overall free agency market. They actually did a lot of great things. And when I was listening and reading through all the details, the Phillies were just a small part of it, but they were there. They were there, and we're going to take that and run with it because all we need is an inch for us to take a mile because we're going to get irrational. Not all of us, some of us.
Oh, I'll get irrational.
Jamie,
I'll
because
be
of this
used.
news.
Me. Use John Middleton's money, agents, please. What this is all four agents all four top free agents remaining are all Scott Boras guys. Weird.
I know. There's a lot to unpack here, actually, Jamie, because as I was reading through, there were some outlets that were talking specifically about Scott Boras. Some outlets were talking about some sleeper trades and moves, piggybacking off of what Morosi and Faizan were saying.
Piggybacking, it was slop.
Yes, but let's start at the top with the big four free agents that are available. Cody Bellinger, Matt Chapman, Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell. Two of those four, 50%, guys, 50% were tied to the Phillies. Now, what makes this even more exciting is they were asked, Faizan and Morosi were asked, is there a team that did not originally seem to be a likely destination for one of those players that could sneak in and make a serious play now that their situations remain unresolved at this late date? Faizan said there's been some buzz about the Phillies jumping in for either Snell or Montgomery. Ooh. And while Dave Dombrowski has said that he doesn't expect any major moves from this point forward, he did leave the door open. Yes, he did, guys. We remember that comment in his interview with WIP saying, I can't tell you that somebody doesn't fall into your lap at some point where you say, gee, that's an opportunity we can't turn down. And then Morosi said, I agree with Mark that the Phillies are a prime, not just a candidate, not just a sleeper, not just a team that's in the mix, prime. I like prime steak. I like prime rib. I like anything prime, Jamie. I like Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime's good.
Prime candidate. They've had a quiet offseason, and Dombrowski once signed Prince Fielder to a $214 million contract in late January. And then the Red Sox could fit the description too, but only if they're able to clear payroll by moving Jansen's contract. So those two nuggets of Faizan and Morosi's comments had us and a lot of Phillies people ready to explode because prime candidate, they could jump in. And we've heard Dave mention this before, Rob's mentioned this before, that they're just, if somebody was to just fall out of the sky or fall into our laps, I don't know why I picture this like, they're hinting at it. There's names out there, and if someone were to fall into our lap, why not? Why we can't turn that opportunity? So, Jamie, you're irrational about this. You're feeling like one of these could be connected to the Phillies.
Yeah, we've talked about this because the agents are probably using the Phillies because of their spending habits as bait to get their clubs that are most active in trade or signing them to get moving. All four Boras agents. I'm sure somebody over at Boras Corp, whatever his agency is actually called, is just like, all right, splash some rumors. All right, Faizan and Morosi are next up. Phillies are the team willing to spend. Come on, Rangers, pony up. Come on, Cubs, pony up. Because it is getting late, and pitchers and catchers, a lot of the guys are there. I saw a tweet yesterday that a lot of the offensive guys have already arrived, which you love to see. So, like, teams are, approaching camp. And, that's when these 1 and 3 year short-term deals maybe change things. And, do I think they're going to get them? I don't, but I do think there's a point where they're going to be interested in one of them.
Yeah.
I don't think Bellinger makes a lot of sense, to be honest. I know a lot of people want him. And, yeah, would I like to slot him in center field? Sure, that'd be awesome. But
yeah.
I don't think that one makes sense. I think if they were to make a move, it would be Montgomery or Snell. So that makes sense. I'd be surprised if Montgomery leaves Texas, but it's really weird. You're not hearing a lot on Blake Snell outside of like the Yankees. Occasionally the Giants are thrown in there. It seems like there's no real true destinations for a couple of these guys. But this is also classic Scott Boras. So
yes,
he's notorious for holding his guys late into camp to try and get the best deal and pinch these teams in the short ones. So we'll see what happens. But, Dave Dombrowski, all you keep reading about is, wild card Dave. He's always got something up his sleeve. You never know.
Oh, man.
We haven't really seen it here. So, like, if you want to live up to that reputation, now's a good time to pounce.
Yeah, so there were a couple things that John Morosi, Mark Feisen talked about, and also some other reports just to update on where these four, the big four as they're being called, have been linked to. Now, for Jordan Montgomery specifically, John Morosi was saying he believes Montgomery will sign by Thursday. Of course, as we know, the incentive around pitchers and catchers are getting started in 5 days, but also in general, he said there is greater incentive for pitchers to sign than position players. That makes complete sense. We get that. But then also specifically, as you mentioned, for Montgomery, there's been a lot that's really connected Montgomery to be able to return back to Texas. They've been the front runners. The expectations are that that's where he will land. The Rangers do want him back. And they're saying that as an added bonus, Montgomery has already been offered free barbecue for life if he returns to Texas. There's been a lot of plotting and planning to get Montgomery to return to the Rangers. There have also been some
He's
others.
a big boy, too. He could put down some barbecue.
Yeah, for sure. He looks like a barbecue guy, without a doubt. Also, the Yankees have been tied to everybody, honestly. Let's be frank.
Yeah,
but they've also been connected to Jordan Montgomery. Then the Boston Red Sox have been another one. They apparently have been sending some mixed messages about what they're willing to do and if they are interested or not. So I know John Morosi speculated that the Red Sox would sign Montgomery.
They're a disgrace.
So
right now.
yeah, that's been the three that have been in the play for Montgomery. And then, as you mentioned, the Yankees connected to Blake Snell. They're the only team that's made an offer to Snell. And that offer still is on the table, allegedly. There have been more incentives. Of course, Blake Snell is asking, and Boras is asking for a lot for Blake Snell. So Snell has been connected to the Yankees, but then also the Angels have been a team that's been reportedly interested, but hasn't officially made an offer. It seems that their owner, Arte Moreno, hasn't given the go-ahead to make the offer, but the Angels are in touch, quote unquote, with Blake Snell. So, I mean, those two specifically, I don't see any reason why it's not impossible, and it is impossible. Like, anything can happen because nobody's really pushing forward. Because the other issue is Scott Boras. And I read a couple pieces about Scott Boras and how people have Scott Boras figured out at this point, and they understand
He's pretty transparent.
the game. They understand the game. GMs and baseball executives have reportedly been getting wise to Boras's charades and understanding how he, manipulates and moves in the market. And so it seems as though a lot of these teams are just kind of waiting, knowing that Boras is going to want his players signed somewhere. And so they're trying to. It's become a standoff. It's like it's a rope-a-dope right now of both teams wanting to make a move. Scott Boras is trying to get his guys signed. Teams are interested, but nobody wants to go ahead and cave in because they're trying to wait out Scott Boras, knowing if his guys stay on the market, the price tag should drop, and then they'll push in for him. So it's an interesting time right now that Scott Boras and his big four that are on the market are kind of getting. I feel like people are seeing through the BS. They're seeing through the smoke and mirrors in that sense of, nope, you guys want all this money. Snell was offered 6 years, $150 million. Turn that down. Chapman's been the number's been very high for him. People want that number lower, Phillies included.
Yeah, so it's the perfect opportunity for Dave Dombrowski to go overpay on a 1-year deal, in my opinion. I know they don't want to hit free agency again, but screw it. Give somebody $35 million. Go give Blake Snell $35 million for 1 year. I might prefer Montgomery personally, just because of the innings eating option and more stable. But Snell clearly has higher upside. The more this market kind of implodes and the greedier Boras gets, it only benefits the Phillies, in my opinion. So we'll see if something, were to happen like that. I always say it, there's no bad 1-year deals in baseball. If it needs to go to 3 years, you probably can afford that pretty easily.